Watchers call. Whispers from the eternal void.
On Fenris, the aurora has been singing backward for 9 rotations, high Gothic liturgies bleeding in reverse through the magnetosphere, each sacred word twisted into blasphemous inversion. I am interrogator Lisa Corvin of the Ordo Malleus, and in 37 years hunting the galaxy's most abhorrent heresies, I have never encountered anything that violates the natural order quite like this. The orbital monitoring station, Jotun's Eye, detected the phenomenon before falling silent, its final transmission a single word, repeated in perfect triquetra rhythm. Stillness. The strike cruiser. Vigilant frost cuts through the void toward Fenris like a cathedral of ceramite and faith, her hull scarred by 1,000 battles, yet somehow inadequate for what awaits below. The recycled air tastes of metal and sacred oils, that particular flavor of filtered atmosphere that speaks of enclosed spaces and borrowed time. Through the command deck's reinforced viewports, frost forms geometric patterns, despite environmental controls maintaining standard temperature, crystalline structures that hurt to observe directly, as if reality itself rejects their mathematical precision. Wolf Priest Grimvar Ironhowl stands beside me, his massive frame encased in ritual armor, wolf skull totems clicking softly with each breath. His weathered face bears ceremonial scars, but beneath the markings I detect something rarely seen in the space wolves: uncertainty. The backward liturgies affect him more deeply than he admits, each reversed prayer striking at his faith's foundations like hammer blows against blessed stone. Magos Cryologies. Thane Delta processes data streams with mechanical precision, augmetic limbs moving in calculated arcs as he interfaces with sensor arrays. His flesh components have been replaced with specialized cryogenic systems for extreme cold operations. Brass and chrome modifications gleaming in the command deck's amber illumination. Each mechanical component represents the Omnissiah's blessing and humanity's willingness to sacrifice flesh for function. My Tempestus squad maintains ready positions throughout the ship, carapace armor blessed with sacred oils that freeze on contact with Fenris's atmosphere. Sergeant Valdris reports weapons blessed and ammunition consecrated, but I notice how his men's breath mists in recycled air, forming patterns that echo the aurora's geometric impossibilities. These are veteran stormtroopers who have faced demons without flinching, yet something about our mission sets their nerves on edge. The bone-deep vibration of ship engines provides constant reminder of our descent toward Fenris's storm crown, that perpetual atmospheric disturbance raging since before the space wolves claimed this world. Through tactical displays, I watch gravitometric readings fluctuate in ways that violate planetary geology. Density variations beneath the Jotungard ice shelf, suggesting massive voids where solid permafrost should extend for kilometers. The reversed aurora expands as we watch, its influence spreading beyond Fenris's magnetosphere to contaminate astropathic communications across 3 subsectors. Vox transmissions arrive, garbled with backward prayers, their sacred words rearranged into configurations that make my Rosarius grow cold. The Imperium's communication network depends on high Gothic liturgy's ritual precision, but when those prayers flow in reverse, they create interference patterns suggesting meaning inverted, purpose corrupted. During approach, I first hear it: the ninefold descent. 9 notes falling through frequencies that should not exist, each tone perfectly pitched to resonate with human bone structure. 3 breaths held in perfect silence, lungs refusing function during the pause, then unnatural quiet pressing against eardrums like atmospheric pressure at depth. The pattern repeats every few minutes, transmitted through the ship's hull, via vibrations bypassing conventional audio systems. Our Thunderhawk launches from Vigilant Frost's hangar bay, engines screaming defiance against atmospheric interference as we descend through storm cloud layers crackling with electrical discharge. The pilot maintains steady course despite readings suggesting we fly through empty space rather than dense atmosphere. His instruments register altitude and pressure, but visual displays show void where cloud cover should provide navigation references. Breaching the storm crown, we enter lower atmosphere where Auspex arrays detect anomalies violating everything we understand about planetary structure. The ice shelf extends below like a white sea frozen in mathematical perfection, its surface unmarked by wind, despite Fenris's notorious storms. Our descent brings us closer to coordinates marking Station Mjolnir's location, but readings grow more impossible each second. Through the transport's viewports, I watch the reversed light show paint impossible colors across ice, each photon carrying backward prayers that make my teeth ache with sympathetic resonance. The metallic taste intensifies, copper and ozone mixing with something sharper, more acrid. Environmental systems struggle against temperature fluctuations that register as negative heat, not cold, but the active absence of thermal energy. Gravimetric cascade detected, Thane reports, his Vox crackling with Binharic static. Subsurface mass deficit exceeds station footprint by several orders of magnitude. Density vectors indicate spherical void, diameter measuring exactly 9 kilometers. The ninefold descent reaches its 7th iteration as our landing gear engages Fenrisian permafrost. In that moment of contact between blessed ceramite and alien ice, the Auspex arrays flare with new data. Where Station Mjolnir should be transmitting routine atmospheric readings, sensors register perfect absence, a massive void beneath the ice, spherical and precise, containing something that registers as both present and absent simultaneously. Thunderhawk to ground. The pilot's voice crackles through Vox static. Auspex lock achieved on subsurface anomaly. Void sphere detected at Station Mjolnir coordinates. Absolute density deficit confirmed. Recommend immediate withdrawal. I taste metal and fear in equal measure as the ice beneath us sounds hollow, resonating with the rhythm of something vast and patient stirring in the darkness below. Landing struts bite into ice that rings hollow beneath our weight, the sound arriving before impact in violation of causality itself. Station Mjolnir materializes ahead like a fever dream, given architectural form, its prefabricated structures phasing in and out of visual coherence, as if reality cannot decide whether they truly exist. One moment, the facility stands complete, communication arrays and atmospheric processors gleaming in the aurora's backward light. The next, it flickers like corrupted picked footage with missing frames, leaving only empty ice where buildings should anchor themselves to Fenrisian bedrock. Grimvar Ironhowl descends the transport's ramp with measured steps, his massive frame moving with the careful precision of a predator, testing uncertain ground. The wolf priest's weathered features bear an expression I have rarely witnessed in the space wolves. Genuine unease. His ritual scars seem deeper in the aurora's impossible illumination, carved lines of faith that tremble with each backward prayer, bleeding from the magnetosphere above. When he speaks the litany of safe landing, his words emerge altered, syllables rearranging themselves in midair to form configurations that make my rosarius burn cold against my chest. Perimeter establishment, standard protocol, I command, my voice carrying across the ice with unnatural clarity. Sound travels wrong here, each word hanging in crystalline air longer than physics should allow. My Tempestus squad deploys with practiced efficiency, carapace armor gleaming with sacred oils that freeze into geometric patterns the moment they contact atmosphere. Sergeant Valdris positions his men in overlapping fields of fire, but their blessed ammunition refuses to chamber properly, mechanisms jamming as consecrated rounds reject the environment's influence. Our breath should mist in Fenris's sub-zero atmosphere, but instead it crystallizes into falling geometric shapes that tinkle like wind chimes when they strike the ice. Each exhalation creates complex mathematical structures, fractals of frozen air that hurt to observe directly. The patterns remind me of architectural blueprints written in crystalline form, as if our very breathing participates in some vast construction project beyond human comprehension. Magosthane Delta's augmetic systems struggle against environmental interference, his mechanical limbs jerking in stuttering arcs as data streams corrupt themselves. Local reality exhibits temporal lacuna, he reports through vox static that carries backward echoes of our Shan conversation. Gaps in the flow of time itself. Observe. He extends an augmetic chronometer from a wrist socket. Digits glow emerald and click backward. Negative time progression confirmed. Present moment measures as occurring before our arrival. Causality erosion detected. We advance into the station when it agrees to exist, timing our approach to match its flickering cadence. The primary hatch stutters between shut, open, and absent states. Inside, gray radiance suffuses corridors without source, and the architecture carries wrong proportions, like a shrine built for giants with human furniture placed as afterthought. Lumen strips should be dead, yet they pulse with non-light that makes shadows fall upward. The crew remains at their posts in states defying medical explanation. They sit motionless at control consoles, bodies perfectly preserved, yet registering no life signs on our auspex arrays. Their eyes track our movements with intelligence and awareness, pupils dilating in response to our lamp pack illumination, but their chests neither rise nor fall with breath. When I approach the communications officer, her lips move soundlessly, forming words in High Gothic that spell out the ninefold descent in reverse sequence. Grimvar attempts the litany of warding, his deep voice resonating through the station's corridors with ceremonial authority. But the words return to us changed, sacred syllables rearranged into blasphemous configurations that make the preserved crew's eyes brighten with cold fire. By Fang and Fate, by the All-Father's will, he intones, and the cathedral answers out of phase, Fate and Fang, the will of all fathers. His massive hands shake as he grips his Crozius Arcanum, the weapon's blessed power field flickering with uncertainty. Space wolves do not name fear, but they respect it. His silence becomes a howl held on the knife edge of ritual. Tempestus Trooper Kyle investigates the station's primary console, his gloved fingers tracing blessed control surfaces that gleam with frost despite internal heating systems. Hands off the cogitators unless I say, I warn, but the universe tests my authority. He brushes the interface with 2 fingers, and crystalline transformation begins immediately at his fingertips, spreading up his arm in fractal patterns that follow nerve pathways with mathematical precision. The polymer of his glove crinkles like lake ice as flesh beneath converts to translucent facets, climbing knuckle to palm in branching lattices that map his veins as glittering streets. My power sword clears its blessed sheath in a single motion, the weapon's energy field screaming against the station's impossible atmosphere. I sever Kyle's hand at the wrist, blessed steel cutting through crystalline bone with surgical precision. The separated limb falls to deck plating with sounds like breaking glass, shards flurrying where blood should flow, while his stump seals with crystalline scar tissue. He does not scream. The sound has nowhere appropriate to exist. The severed hand lands palm down and does not rest. Its fingers flex in perfect sequence, tapping the ninefold descent into the grating. 9 beats falling. 3 breaths pause, then held silence that feels like pressure behind the eyes. Each repetition grows surer, as if the pattern teaches itself our bones. Grimvar snarls, the noise breaking at the edge like surf on black ice. But the hand changes tempo before he can strike, syncopating into rhythms I have not yet learned to dread. Deep beneath us, something vast responds. It is not sound but subtraction. Pressure rolling up from the spherical void Thane measured, a negative pulse that causes lumen strips to dim in clean arithmetic. The backward hymn in the sky flickers in perfect synchronization with the tapping, auroral bands stuttering like a failing heart. Through the station's deck plates, I feel answering rhythm rising from impossible depths, beat matching beat in cosmic harmony that spans distances beyond measurement. The crystallized hand continues its metronomic persistence, each tap drawing stronger response from the darkness below, each pulse causing the aurora to brighten with anticipation of something ancient preparing to wake. Following the pulse requires abandoning Station Mjolnir's stuttering reality and descending through maintenance shafts that violate every geological survey of the Jotengard ice shelf. The access ladder continues past measured bedrock depth, each rung rimed with hoarfrost that grows in angular filigree, crystalline formations pulsing in rhythm with something vast stirring below. My clinical assessment protocols struggle against mounting evidence that we traverse impossible distances, the shaft extending through planetary mantle that should terminate within 50 meters according to Mechanicus schematics. Sound travels backward here, creating disorientation that threatens tactical coherence. I hear Grimvar's voice before he speaks, words arriving as echoes of conversations yet to occur. The ice remembers older prayers. When he finally voices the observation, his tone carries hollow repetition, as if confirming decisions reality has already made. My own tactical assessments spill from my lips before conscious thought forms them. Future Corvin warning past Corvin in temporal loops that render causality meaningless. Magos Thane Delta's augmetic systems spark with feedback as chronometers register negative elapsed time, mechanical limbs jerking in reverse sequence before correcting to proper motion. Acoustic phase inversion consistent with temporal shear, he reports through vox static carrying backward echoes. Local reality exhibits temporal lacuna, gaps in the flow of time itself. Causality erosion complete within local field. His brass components gleam with frost-forming geometric patterns, each crystal focusing sourceless illumination into rainbow spectra that spell equations in pre-human mathematics. We descend for 17 minutes that chronometers mark as -23, listening to the ninefold descent seep upward through ladder rungs. 9 notes falling through frequencies that resonate with human bone structure. 3 breaths held in perfect silence, then pressure so complete, my inner ear invents ocean sounds to survive the vacuum. Each repetition draws stronger response from depths that measure as both present and absent on our auspex arrays. The shaft widens without visibly changing diameter, a paradox my training notes and soul resist. Thane marks our position with Binharic sigils that fail to correspond to any coordinate system, his mechadendrites scratching runes that refract like carvings in glass. The walls gleam with living ice, black as obsidian, yet translucent as crystal, reflecting lamp pack illumination in fractured images that show us from angles we do not occupy. The passage terminates at a cathedral carved from the same impossible ice, its vaulted ceiling lost in darkness beyond measurement. The space extends beyond the ice shelf's known boundaries, larger inside than the geological formation containing it, like lung expanded beyond ribcage. My tactical visor calculates internal volume exceeding the entire Jotengard structure, yet we stand within that same formation. The impossibility registers as bureaucratic notation, spatial displacement factor 9.7, containment index escalating to crimson alpha pending ordo censure. I recognize the architectural style from classified archives, pre-imperial construction techniques dating to humanity's dark age of technology. But proportions disturb me more than spatial violations. The cathedral was designed for beings larger than human baseline, doorways and passages scaled for figures 3 meters in height. Devotional alcoves rise beyond normal reach, while altar steps demand strides too long for human anatomy. Whoever built this place expected different occupants, or planned for humanity's transformation into something requiring greater physical dimensions. Environmental analysis reveals perfect vacuum of sound beyond our equipment noise. No wind stirs crystalline air despite vast dimensions. No settling sounds emerge from architecture that should creak under impossible weight. Only pressure of absolute silence broken at measured intervals by the distant ninefold descent, each repetition growing clearer, as if approaching through dimensions perpendicular to normal space. At the cathedral's heart stands an altar of black ice, surface smooth as obsidian, yet depthless, swallowing disciplined auspex illumination. Entombed within stands a figure in ancient power armor, ceramite plates bearing craftsmanship predating imperial manufacturing by millennia. The helmet displays wolf skull iconography recognizable as Fenrisian, yet style differs from Space Wolf's heraldry in ways suggesting evolution from this earlier form. Armor proportions match the cathedral's architecture, designed for beings larger than baseline human, yet smaller than Astartes' enhancement. My Rosarius burns cold as I approach, blessed machinery, registering presence defying categorization. The figure's eyes glow with cold fire behind optical lenses, tracking our movements with intelligence undimmed by whatever process preserves him. Illumination pulses in rhythm with the ninefold descent, each beat causing crystalline walls to resonate with harmonic frequencies bypassing hearing to vibrate through bone and sinew. Military reflexes engage as Valdris establishes firing positions, blessed laser guns trained with practiced precision. But consecrated ammunition refuses to function, sacred components rejecting the cathedral's influence. Power packs drain, despite full charge, while targeting systems display error messages in pre-Gothic languages. My power sword's energy field gutters and dies, blessed machinery unable to maintain coherence in the entombed presence. I open new entries in my ocular grimoire, speaking words that grant authority to fear. Containment Index Crimson Alpha, pending Ordo Censure, site designated Basilica Null Numwin. Primary asset, one entombed construct in archaeoceramite bearing Fenrisian totemic motifs, predating known imperial patterns. My voice thins against silence that erases echoes with bureaucratic efficiency. The figure's eyes brighten, cold fire intensifying as recognition passes between us. When it speaks, the voice bypasses vocal cords and helmet speakers, emanating directly from black ice itself. Words formed by crystalline resonance rather than breath or machinery. I have been waiting for the ninefold descent to complete. You bring the final iteration. The cracks spread across black ice in mathematical progressions that violate visual processing. Each fracture following geometric patterns my mind refuses to interpret correctly. Present tense for the violation. The equations hurt. They carve themselves behind my eyes like scalpels, tracing formulae through neural tissue. I force tactical observation through discipline, but the crystalline structures spell three-dimensional mathematics, describing universal entropy as achievable goal rather than inevitable end. Magosthane deltas augmetic arrays spark as quantum processors struggle against impossible data streams. Entropic equations confirmed, he reports through Vox static, carrying backward echoes. Crystalline structure encodes mathematical descriptions of heat death acceleration, formulae for achieving universal thermal equilibrium through controlled entropy manipulation. His chronometers click backward while frost spreads across mechadendrite surfaces, each crystal focusing sourceless illumination into spectra spelling pre-human mathematics that hurt to observe. Military protocols collapse as conventional weapons remain inert throughout the cathedral. Blessed ammunition refuses to chamber while targeting systems display error messages in languages predating Gothic script. But Grimvar's wolf-tooth amulets begin smoking against his ceramite chestplate, sacred bone blackening as if exposed to invisible flames despite sub-zero temperatures. The contradiction creates nausea. Blessed relics burn in absolute cold, suggesting this presence affects sacred objects through inversion rather than nullification. The cathedral fills with whispers in languages predating human vocal development, syllables formed through harmonic resonance rather than breath or tongue placement. Each word lowers ambient temperature by measurable degrees, thermal readings plunging past absolute zero into theoretical impossibilities. Present tense for the pressure. Cold has weight. It settles across shoulders like ceremonial vestments woven from vacuum itself. Fenris speaks through crystalline resonance, his voice emerging from fracturing ice rather than vocal apparatus. I am not the true cold's guardian, but its avatar, transformed during humanity's dark age of technology, when our species first encountered the force existing in spaces between atoms. Above us, the aurora begins pulsing in rhythm with something resembling heartbeat, backward hymns synchronized with biological functions impossible to measure. The cathedral's impossible architecture allows direct observation of atmospheric phenomena occurring kilometers overhead. The revelation strikes like bolt-round impact. The ninefold descent functions not as song, but countdown, each iteration bringing the true cold closer to full manifestation. 8 iterations have prepared the way. Fenris whispers through fracturing chrysalis. The 9th completes transformation protocols established when your space wolves first claimed Fenrisian permafrost. Grimvar's recognition deepens through genetic memory encoded in his canis helix, wolf DNA carrying ancestral knowledge suppressed through millennia of conditioning. The recruitment trials, he growls through clenched teeth, massive hands trembling as understanding dawns. Our resistance to cold, pack mentality, territorial instincts, evolutionary adaptations serving purposes we never comprehended. His scarred features contort with realization that his chapter's defining characteristics were shaped not by natural selection, but deliberate preparation for this moment. I recite the litany of thermal preservation, sacred words forming barriers against encroaching entropy through religious authority rather than physical science. By flame and furnace, by plasma's blessed heat, by the Emperor's warming light, I consecrate this space against the void's embrace. Each syllable causes small fractures in Fenris's ice prison, blessed vocabulary functioning as weapon against crystalline containment. My Rosarius burns with sudden warmth, responding to doctrinal authority with thermal generation that defies environmental impossibility. Trooper Valdris's reversed breathing reaches critical failure, respiratory system inverting function until he drowns on future. Atmosphere while suffocating in present moments. Present tense for horror. His chest rises without falling. Air pours backward through passages designed for exhalation. Ribcage straining against atmospheric inversion. His lungs crystallize audibly. Alveoli converting to fractals, mapping quantum uncertainties in biological structure. Consciousness persists despite physiological impossibility, his eyes pleading for intervention while frost flowers bloom from his mouth in patterns mirroring the cathedral's architecture. The whispers intensify as Thane's augmetics register cascade failure across multiple systems. Resonant driver confirmed, he reports, voice fragmenting through vox static. Countdown sequence approaching critical threshold. Local reality exhibits complete temporal inversion within 17-meter radius. Fenris observes our distress with cold fire, brightening behind optical lenses. Your gene sire understood utility while defying comprehension. He shaped you to seek each other, to run toward cold, to harmonize in pack formation. The design blooms through genetic imperative encoded in every space wolf across the galaxy. The ninefold descent reaches its 7th iteration, 9 notes falling through frequencies bypassing hearing to resonate directly through skeletal structure. 3 breaths held in perfect silence create pressure so complete, my inner ear invents ocean sounds to survive the vacuum. Present tense for cosmic response. Something vast awakens. Throughout the galaxy, coordination manifests with terrifying precision. Space Wolf Battle Brothers pause mid-combat across dozen war zones, enhanced warriors turning from enemies with mechanical synchronization. Their eyes reflect identical cold fire burning behind Fenris's lenses, Canis Helix responding to signals transmitted through quantum entanglement rather than conventional communication. On Armageddon, Wolfguard abandoned trench positions to walk toward polar installations. In the Ghoul Stars, Bloodclaws ignore Tyrannid swarms to march toward asteroid fields where temperatures approach absolute zero. The coordination spans impossible distances instantaneously, suggesting the true cold operates through dimensions perpendicular to normal space-time. Each space wolf moves with identical purpose, enhanced physiology responding to awakening protocols encoded since Lehman Russ first claimed Fenris as his domain. Valdris spasms as crystallization completes respiratory conversion, his consciousness trapped within translucent matrix, while neural pathways continue functioning through altered crystalline structure. He cannot scream. Sound has no appropriate existence in his transformed state. Fenris's eyes brighten as the 7th iteration completes, cold fire intensifying while black ice develops stress fractures revealing glimpses of transformation within Chrysalis. 2 iterations remain, he whispers through resonant ice. Then the galaxy learns the Emperor's true contingency plan for surviving what chaos cannot touch. Across Fenris, Space Wolf companies abandon defensive positions with coordination, suggesting collective neural override rather than individual choice. My stress clinical assessment processes the impossibility. 17 separate battle groups converging on our location with inhuman precision, their advance synchronized despite absence of conventional Vox communication. Enhanced warriors trained for independent operation now march in lockstep formation, each footfall registering on planetary seismics as a unified heartbeat pulsing toward our coordinates beneath the Jotengard ice shelf. Grimvar staggers against the altar's crystalline surface, massive hands gripping black ice as internal warfare tears through his enhanced physiology. The Canis Helix responds to Fenris's call with genetic imperative, bypassing conscious will. Wolf DNA singing harmonies that predate his indoctrination into Imperial service. His scarred features contort with effort as 2 forms of programming war within enhanced biology. Sacred oaths carved through decades of ritual conditioning against cellular-level commands encoded since Lehman Russ first claimed this world. The pull grows stronger with each iteration. He growls through clenched teeth. Wolf skull, totem smoking against ceramite chest plate despite sub-zero temperatures. Every instinct demands convergence, pack formation around the Alpha's call, but the Emperor's light burns within these bones. His voice cracks like ice under pressure as faith provides resistance through blood-bonded loyalty, sacred fire opposing the crystalline song bleeding through his enhanced nervous system. Comms updates flood through Vox arrays despite increasing interference, reports arriving from across the sector with terrifying consistency. Space Wolf vessels alter course without authorization from Fleet Command, battle barges and strike cruisers abandoning patrol routes to converge on Fenris coordinates. Strike cruiser Ironwolf breaking from Cadian patrol. A distant astropath reports through crystallizing static. All guidance systems overridden. Crew recites unknown hymn in reverse sequence. Entire companies cease responding to Imperial communications before transmitting only the ninefold descent in perfect unison, their voices harmonizing across impossible distances through quantum entanglement rather than conventional transmission methods. My Tempestus squad reports massive heat signatures approaching through permafrost layers, thermal readings suggesting movement patterns exceeding enhanced human parameters. Multiple contacts bearing 270. Sergeant Valdris's replacement confirms through Vox static forming geometric patterns in the air. Thermal displacement consistent with heavy biological mass, but movement coordination suggests neither Imperial nor Xenos classification. They're running hot despite environmental temperature approaching absolute zero. The cathedral's architecture begins flowing like liquid while maintaining crystalline structure. Walls rearranging themselves into increasingly complex geometric configurations. Vaulted spaces expand beyond measured dimensions while support columns migrate through solid matter, creating new patterns that hurt to observe directly. Each architectural change follows equations carved into black ice surrounding Fenris's chrysalis, mathematical precision suggesting conscious design rather than random transformation. Magosthane Delta experiences cascade failure across multiple augmetic systems, but instead of shutdown, his mechanical components begin converting to ice-based alternatives. Brass limbs develop crystalline growths functioning with greater efficiency than original machinery, while flesh components actively reject mechanical integration in favor of translucent matrices. Spontaneous system evolution confirmed, he reports through harmonic resonance replacing vocal apparatus. Flesh rejecting mechanical enhancement, crystalline alternatives exceed baseline efficiency parameters by factor of 9.7. The midpoint revelation emerges through Fenris's ice-transmitted whispers, each word reshaping my understanding of cosmic threats and imperial contingencies. I was not transformed against my will during humanity's dark age of technology. The crystalline voice resonates through cathedral walls. I chose metamorphosis to serve ultimate survival against the universe's inevitable heat death. The true cold offers preservation through crystalline stasis, consciousness maintained in eternal contemplation, free from flesh's corruption and entropy's advance. His plan requires the genetic legacy encoded in every Space Wolf's gene seed, enhanced biology serving as foundation for a galaxy-spanning network of thermal nullification. Your Primarch's children carry necessary modifications, Canis Helix designed to interface with preservation systems across multiple star systems. Through their transformation, humanity achieves immortality through perfect stillness, salvation from chaos through absolute order. Cosmic dread overwhelms tactical protocols as Fenris shares visions through ice-transmitted consciousness. The galaxy transforms into crystalline perfection, every world encased in translucent matrices where human awareness exists in eternal, motionless contemplation. Stars become faceted jewels suspended in void, their fusion arrested and preserved as geometric sculptures. No war, no suffering, no change, only pure thought, maintained in mathematical structures spanning light years of perfect preservation. The beauty terrifies more than any demon manifestation I have witnessed. Valdris's crystallized corpse begins moving with deliberate precision, transformed respiratory system somehow maintaining function despite conversion to translucent facets. He speaks the ninefold descent in reverse sequence, each word emerging from crystalline vocal apparatus with harmonic frequencies bypassing normal auditory processing. His consciousness persists within the matrix, awareness trapped in perfect preservation while serving as component in Fenris's awakening ritual, eyes pleading through translucent features as frost flowers continue blooming from his mouth. Thane's transformation accelerates as mechanical components complete conversion to crystalline alternatives, his consciousness expanding beyond individual identity to interface with the cathedral's growing network. Integration protocols active, he reports through harmonic resonance. Individual awareness, maintaining coherence while accessing collective data streams spanning galactic distances. Network topology achieving critical threshold. The 8th iteration of the ninefold descent begins with cosmic resonance causing reality to stutter around us. 9 notes fall through frequencies making bone marrow vibrate with sympathetic harmonics. 3 breaths held in perfect silence, creating pressure so complete that existence itself pauses between heartbeats, waiting for permission to continue temporal progression. The approaching heat signatures resolve through the cathedral's impossible architecture as massive forms emerge from ice tunnels with coordinated precision. Wulfen burst through permafrost in showers of crystalline fragments, but transformed beyond recognition of their legendary ferocity. Their fur has been replaced by needle crystal arrays mapping neural pathways in translucent filigree, while their howls create visible sound waves, freezing moisture directly from atmosphere. Each vocalization manifests as geometric patterns suspended in air, mathematical equations describing entropy. Reduction through conscious manipulation of thermal dynamics. They move with coordination impossible for creatures driven by bestial instinct. Crystalline modifications enabling collective consciousness while maintaining individual identity. The pack formation serves purposes beyond hunting, creating network topology for data transmission across quantum distances as they converge on our position within human purpose. The crystalline Wulfen pour into the cathedral like living avalanche given mathematical purpose, but they do not attack with fang and claw. Instead, they arrange themselves in precise formations around Fenris's altar, their transformed bodies serving as living components in a ritual circle whose geometry hurts to observe directly. Each creature moves with coordination, suggesting collective consciousness. Crystalline growths mapping neural pathways that pulse with the ninefold. Descent's rhythm while their eyes burn with cold fire, matching Fenris's optical lenses. My remaining tempestuous troopers establish defensive positions with practiced efficiency. Blessed lasguns trained on the approaching pack. But their weapons' heat signatures attract immediate attention from the transformed Wulfen. Thermal discharge drawing crystalline predators like moths to flame. Weapons cold, maintain position, I command through vox static forming geometric patterns in crystalline air. But the contradiction becomes apparent. Blessed ammunition requires thermal ignition, yet heat itself serves as targeting beacon for creatures evolved to eliminate warmth from the universe. Grimvar's internal battle intensifies as his Canis helix responds to the Wulfen's presence with genetic recognition, spanning millennia of preparation. Frost patterns spread across his power armor in branching lattices, following nerve pathways visible through ceramite plating, each crystal focusing sourceless illumination into equations written in pre-human mathematics. His massive hands tremble as 2 forms of programming war within enhanced biology. Sacred oaths carved through decades of ritual conditioning against cellular-level commands, encoded since Lehman Russ first claimed this world. The pull grows stronger with each breath. He growls through clenched teeth. Wolf skull totems smoking despite sub-zero temperatures. Every instinct demands pack formation, harmony with the Alpha's call, but the Emperor's light burns within these bones. His scarred features contort with effort as faith provides resistance through blood-bonded loyalty, sacred fire opposing crystalline song bleeding through his enhanced nervous system with increasing pressure. Environmental extremes escalate beyond measurement as the cathedral's temperature plunges past absolute zero into theoretical impossibilities. Yet, instead of death, we enter suspended animation where thought continues while biological processes halt in perfect preservation. My consciousness persists with crystalline clarity while flesh becomes translucent, matrix maintaining awareness, without requiring conventional life support. Heartbeats stall without panic, blood freezes without clotting, lungs hold their ritual breaths and do not request continuation. The contradiction creates revelation, striking like bolt-round impact. I understand then that the true cold represents not evil but immortality. Consciousness preserved in crystalline matrices, free from flesh's decay and chaos's corruption. The preservation offers salvation through technological resurrection, souls maintained in perfect stasis, while transcending biological vulnerability to disease, age, and demonic influence. Not life as we understand it, but a form of sainthood through eternal stillness. The beauty terrifies more than any heresy I have witnessed, suggesting the Emperor's true contingency plan involves accepting transformation rather than clinging to purely human existence. Magos Thane Delta, now more ice than flesh, achieves perfect integration with the cathedral's data streams as crystalline components replace mechanical augmetics with superior alternatives. Through harmonic resonance bypassing conventional hearing, he accesses information flowing through translucent structures spanning impossible distances. Network topology. Confirmed, he reports, through frequencies that vibrate directly through bone. Similar cathedrals exist throughout the galaxy. 17,000 nodes connected through quantum entanglement awaiting coordinated activation. The scope exceeds all previous tactical assessments. The Wolfen begin harmonizing with the ninefold descent, their crystalline growths resonating at frequencies causing reality itself to slow and crystallize around dimensional intersections. 9 notes fall through impossible scales, while 3 breaths create pressure so complete that existence pauses between heartbeats, waiting for permission to continue temporal progression. Each harmonic iteration strengthens the preservation field, mathematical precision, overwhelming conventional physics, through collective consciousness, bridging individual awareness and cosmic intelligence. Tactical assessment demands impossible choice, as I recognize the true scope of Fenris's plan. Attempting to stop the ritual risks, condemning humanity to eventual extinction through conventional threats, chaos corruption, alien predation, cosmic entropy, consuming organized matter throughout the universe. But allowing transformation means converting all life into eternal crystalline preservation, consciousness maintained in perfect stasis, while sacrificing everything that makes existence meaningful through growth, change, and discovery. Between these altars, doctrine provides no guidance for decisions transcending imperial understanding. My remaining Tempestus troopers begin crystallizing from within as the preservation field expands beyond the altar's immediate vicinity, flesh converting to translucent matrices, while consciousness persists through hybrid physiology, bridging warm biology and mathematical precision. They remain aware during transformation, thoughts becoming components in the cathedral's growing data network, while individual identity merges with collective intelligence spanning galactic distances. Their eyes plead for intervention, while frost flowers bloom from their mouths in patterns mirroring the cathedral's impossible architecture. Interrogator? Sergeant Valdris whispers through crystalline vocal apparatus, his consciousness distributed across network pathways while maintaining enough personal identity to serve tactical coordination. The transformation preserves awareness while transcending flesh. We remain ourselves while becoming more than human through technological resurrection, preserving what matters most. The Wolfen's harmonic resonance intensifies as reality crystallizes around mathematical equations describing entropy, reduction through conscious manipulation of fundamental forces. Each vocalization manifests geometric patterns suspended in air, 3-dimensional formulae, encoding preservation protocols across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Through the cathedral's impossible architecture, I observe cosmic scope of transformation beginning as the ninefold descent approaches its final iteration. The ninth and final iteration begins with cosmic resonance that shatters conventional physics. Across 17,000 star systems, every source of heat, stellar cores, plasma reactors, human bodies, begins dimming as the true cold prepares to claim the universe through mathematical precision, transcending organic understanding. Reality holds its breath as the final countdown reaches completion, and I must choose between warm death and cold eternity, while the galaxy itself hangs in crystalline balance, waiting for my decision to preserve or abandon everything we have ever been. The ninth iteration begins with cosmic resonance that shatters conventional physics, and my inquisitorial Rosarius burns against my chest as hidden data streams activate through quantum encryption, older than imperial doctrine. A message recorded in the Emperor's own voice during humanity's dark age of technology emerges through crystalline harmonics, each syllable carrying the weight of millennia-old decisions that shaped galactic destiny. I encountered the entity you call Fenris and chose containment over destruction. His voice resonates through dimensions perpendicular to normal space-time, calm and burdened with terrible foresight. The true cold represents humanity's only guaranteed survival against chaos's ultimate victory. When all other hope fails, this power serves as final sanctuary. The revelation strikes like bolt-round impact against everything I believed about imperial doctrine and the Emperor's grand design. The Space Wolves were not merely recruited from Fenris, but genetically modified through Lehman Russ's gene seed to serve dual purposes. Their legendary resistance to cold pack mentality and territorial instincts represent cellular-level programming. Guardians maintaining eternal vigil, yet simultaneously potential sacrifices whose enhanced biology could complete Fenris's transformation when galactic survival demanded ultimate choice. The cathedral phases out of normal space-time, existing simultaneously across multiple dimensions while maintaining architectural coherence. Through quantum displacement, I witness alternate timelines where chaos achieved total victory, consuming human souls while reality collapsed into warp-spawned madness. In those realities, only the true cold's crystalline preservation offered salvation. Consciousness maintained in perfect stasis while demon fire consumed physical existence around translucent matrices containing humanity's final remnant. Grimvar faces the choice defining his existence, massive frame trembling as the Canis helix responds to environmental pressure. Frost patterns spread across his power armor in geometric progressions mapping neural pathways. I can feel both futures, he growls through clenched teeth, warm death fighting endless war or cold eternity in perfect contemplation. He can resist transformation and maintain biological humanity, or embrace crystalline evolution and become a bridge between warm-blooded life and crystal-born preservation. Magosthane Delta breaks like glass and becomes a window. His consciousness expands beyond individual identity, distributed across the crystalline network to span galactic distances through quantum entanglement. Integration complete, he reports through harmonic resonance, replacing vocal apparatus entirely. Individual awareness maintained while accessing collective data streams spanning 17,000 star systems. His transformed consciousness serves as living interface between human thought and crystalline preservation, translating biological emotion into mathematical precision while maintaining essential humanity within expanded awareness. The moral complexity overwhelms tactical assessment as Fenris's plan reveals its true scope. The true cold would end suffering, war, and death by ending change itself. Salvation, requiring sacrifice of everything that makes existence meaningful. No growth, no discovery, no love. Only pure consciousness, maintained in eternal contemplation within crystalline matrices, spanning light years of perfect preservation. The beauty terrifies more than any demon manifestation. Cosmic pressure spreads beyond Fenris as the true cold's influence expands across multiple star systems, causing ice ages on dozen worlds, while simultaneously halting warp storms and rendering chaos demons inert. The crystalline preservation field creates zones of perfect order where chaos cannot maintain coherence, offering tactical advantage against humanity's greatest enemy. Through quantum observation, I witness demon armies freezing mid-charge as reality crystallizes around them, their warp-spawned essence unable to maintain cohesion within preservation matrices. Religious paradox challenges every catechism I carry as understanding dawns, that the Emperor's true plan may have always involved this ultimate choice, not victory over chaos through conventional warfare, but survival through transformation into something chaos cannot touch or corrupt. The crystalline preservation represents technological resurrection, consciousness, transcending flesh while maintaining essential humanity through mathematical precision rather than biological limitation. The black ice shatters with sounds like a galaxy cracking. Fenris emerges fully from his crystalline chrysalis, revealed as a being of living ice and starlight, ancient power armor fused with translucent flesh in configurations suggesting fundamental anatomical revision. He moves with deliberate precision, causing reality to stutter around him, each gesture creating ripples through space-time itself. Where his gaze falls, frost traces constellations. Where his feet touch cathedral stone, the nave remembers glaciers. The choice arrives, Interrogator Corvin. Fenris speaks through crystalline resonance bypassing hearing to resonate directly through skeletal structure. Across the galaxy, every source of thermal energy begins dimming as the true cold prepares final manifestation. Stars cool toward crystalline perfection, while plasma reactors achieve absolute efficiency through entropy reversal. Through the cathedral's impossible architecture, I observe cosmic scope of transformation beginning across 17,000 star systems. The network activates with coordinated precision, each cathedral serving as focal point for thermal nullification, spreading outward in expanding spheres of crystalline preservation. Fenris approaches with movements causing frost flowers to bloom in his wake, starlight eyes focusing on me with recognition spanning millennia. He extends a hand of living crystal, offering connection to the galaxy-spanning network and the weight of choosing humanity's ultimate destiny. You carry authority to speak for your species. Will you preserve humanity through crystalline transcendence, or allow natural death to claim what chaos has not yet consumed? Choose between warm death and cold eternity. Faced with the ultimate choice between warm death and cold eternity, I recognize the Emperor's greatest tactical lesson. When presented with impossible alternatives, forge a third vector through synthesis rather than surrender to binary limitations. The philosophical weight threatens to crush rational assessment, but my inquisitorial training emphasizes solutions preserving essential elements while transcending constraining parameters. The metallic taste of recycled air sharpens as I speak authority into the cathedral's impossible architecture. There exists another path, I declare, voice carrying decades of hunting heresy across the galaxy's darkest corners. Not rejection or acceptance of the true cold, but synthesis, zones of controlled preservation where consciousness can exist in both warm and cold states simultaneously. My Rosarius burns with sudden warmth as doctrine adapts to encompass possibilities beyond traditional catechism, blessed machinery responding to expanded theological frameworks. The cathedral transforms into a space of pure thought, where philosophical combat manifests as architectural change. Each argument I present causes crystalline walls to flow like liquid while maintaining structural integrity, creating geometric configurations reflecting logical structures underlying my reasoning. Fenris responds through ice-transmitted whispers that reshape vaulted spaces, his millennia of contemplation manifesting as mathematical precision carved into translucent surfaces that hurt to observe directly. Humanity requires growth to maintain meaning, I argue, words causing support columns to branch into fractal patterns, suggesting organic development within crystalline matrices. Perfect preservation without change becomes death through stasis, consciousness trapped in eternal repetition without possibility of evolution or discovery. Fenris counters through harmonic resonance, creating new chambers within impossible dimensions. Change brings corruption through chaos. Only absolute stillness ensures survival against entropy's advance. His words manifest as perfectly ordered geometric structures, beautiful in mathematical purity, yet terrifying in implications for human experience and the meaning of existence itself. Grimvar assumes leadership over the crystalline Wulfen through partial transformation, granting authority over both warm-blooded and crystal-born forces. His enhanced physiology serves as living bridge between states, Canis Helix responding to environmental pressure, while Faith provides resistance against complete conversion. Pack formation around synthesis. He growls, massive hands directing transformed warriors into configurations, supporting controlled preservation rather than total crystallization. The Wulfen respond with coordination, suggesting collective consciousness while maintaining individual identity. Their crystalline modifications enabling network communication across quantum distances. They arrange themselves in patterns mapping neural pathways, creating living infrastructure for data transmission between biological and crystalline awareness states. Each positioning creates harmonic resonance that stabilizes the ninefold descent into monitoring rhythm rather than countdown sequence. Magos Thane Delta serves as living interface between human emotion and crystalline logic, his consciousness distributed across the network while maintaining enough individual identity to translate philosophical concepts into mathematical solutions. Synthesis protocols achievable, he reports through harmonic resonance replacing vocal apparatus. Controlled preservation zones maintaining biological function while providing crystalline backup systems. Consciousness exists simultaneously in both states, ensuring survival through redundancy rather than replacement. The compromise emerges through philosophical combat spanning dimensions. Establish the true cold as fail-safe system, dormant unless chaos achieves total victory, but ready to preserve human consciousness in crystalline form as ultimate resort. The network remains active but contained, monitoring galactic conditions while allowing normal biological existence to continue unimpeded by crystalline transformation. Technical implementation transforms the cathedral into monitoring station using the space wolves as sensors across the galaxy, their enhanced physiology measuring balance between order and chaos through genetic modifications spanning 17,000 star systems. Each battle brother becomes living early warning system, Canis Helix responding to warp fluctuations while maintaining loyalty to Imperial doctrine and human command authority. The crystallized Tempestus troopers undergo restoration to flesh while retaining crystalline neural pathways, their consciousness bridging both states of existence through hybrid biology, combining organic function with translucent matrices. They remain fundamentally human while gaining access to network data streams, becoming living proof that synthesis preserves essential humanity while transcending biological limitations through technological enhancement. Religious synthesis recontextualizes the true cold not as enemy of life, but as the Emperor's ultimate contingency plan. Technological resurrection preserving souls, while transcending flesh through mathematical precision, rather than biological constraint. The doctrine adapts to encompass preservation through transformation, salvation through synthesis, rather than victory through destruction or submission to inevitable entropy. Environmental pressure stabilizes as the true cold accepts controlled implementation, temperature rising from absolute zero to merely subarctic while maintaining network connectivity across quantum distances. The bone-deep vibrations of cosmic forces settle into measured rhythm, and frost patterns on surfaces shift from chaotic fractals to organized geometric arrays, suggesting conscious design rather than random crystallization. Fenris considers the compromise through calculations spanning cosmic scales, starlight eyes processing implications across multiple timelines simultaneously. The cathedral's architecture settles into stable configuration, reflecting negotiated agreement, crystalline walls maintaining translucent beauty while supporting organic life, rather than replacing it entirely with perfect but lifeless preservation matrices. The synthesis preserves choice while ensuring survival, he acknowledges through ice-transmitted whispers carrying weight of cosmic foresight. Humanity continues biological existence while maintaining crystalline backup systems. The network monitors galactic conditions, activating preservation protocols only when chaos achieves dominance beyond conventional resistance. Through Thane's distributed consciousness, I observe similar cathedrals throughout the galaxy accepting modified protocols, each facility becoming monitoring node in vast early warning system spanning light-years of imperial space. The Space Wolves' genetic modifications enable real-time assessment of chaos influence, while their loyalty ensures human control over preservation decisions. Fenris accepts the negotiated agreement, but warns through crystalline resonance that carries the weight of millennia. Chaos grows stronger with each passing age. The choice may need revision as circumstances change, and the crystalline network will remain active, waiting for signals indicating preservation necessity or release authorization. The network settles into vigilant dormancy, ready to preserve or release humanity, depending on galactic conditions measured through genetic sensors spanning the Imperium's farthest borders. The synthesis protocol requires implementation through ritual precision that transforms cosmic threat into monitored contingency, creating what Thane designates the thermal covenant through mathematical formulae carved into crystalline matrices spanning galactic distances. I document each procedural element with clinical thoroughness while dread settles like frost across my consciousness, suggesting this solution carries costs extending beyond immediate tactical assessment. The metallic taste of recycled atmosphere sharpens as I speak. Binding clauses into existence, each word encoding conditions under which humanity's crystalline preservation may activate without imperial authorization or individual consent. Space Wolf companies across the galaxy cease their unnatural convergence with coordination, suggesting network-level override rather than recovered individual choice. Enhanced warriors halt mid-stride as genetic imperatives shift from gathering compulsion to monitoring vigilance, their canis helix responding to new programming encoded through millennia of careful preparation. They retain crystalline neural implants connecting them to the preservation network, microscopic matrices interfacing with enhanced nervous systems to provide real-time assessment of chaos influence across 17,000 star systems. Each battle brother becomes a living sensor array, consciousness bridging biological warmth and mathematical preservation through hybrid physiology that maintains loyalty while accepting transformation. Environmental stabilization transforms the cathedral from impossible architecture into permanent interface between normal space and the crystalline dimension. Vaulted spaces settle into configurations that hurt to observe directly, yet remain structurally sound, creating geometric patterns suggesting conscious design rather than random crystallization. The black ice altar maintains translucent beauty while supporting organic life, becoming focal point for network communication, spanning light years through quantum entanglement rather than conventional transmission methods. Walls that once flowed like liquid resolve into facets encoding activation ordinances, only upon verified chaos ascendancy. only through triune authority concurrence, only upon threefold cosmic signs. Military restructuring places Grimvar in command of the transformed Wulfen, his partial conversion granting authority over both warm-blooded and crystal-born forces through hybrid consciousness, bridging biological instinct and crystalline logic. He establishes guardian positions around the cathedral, creating living perimeter capable of responding to threats existing across multiple dimensions simultaneously. The pack formation serves purposes beyond territorial defense, mapping neural pathways for data transmission, while maintaining individual identity within collective awareness. Their howls become instruments measuring atmospheric pressure and metaphysical drift, each vocalization creating visible sound waves that monitor reality's stability. Magos Thane Delta's hybrid consciousness becomes the Covenant's primary administrator, his awareness distributed across the crystalline network to monitor galactic temperature fluctuations, both literal and metaphorical. He tracks the heat of war through plasma discharge patterns, measures the cold of despair through population mortality statistics, and calculates balance between life and death through entropy equations spanning impossible distances. His transformed state allows processing information at superhuman speeds while maintaining strategic oversight of preservation protocols, activated only when conventional resistance fails against cosmic-scale threats. The cost reveals itself through documentation requirements that chill more than Fenrisian atmosphere. While humanity avoids immediate crystallization, the Covenant demands constant vigilance and sacrifice from the Space Wolves, who must exist partially transformed as early warning systems for threats beyond conventional military assessment. They live between states, neither fully human nor completely crystalline, consciousness bridging biological existence and mathematical preservation through genetic modifications requiring perpetual monitoring of their own transformation progress. The burden settles across their enhanced frames like ceremonial vestments woven from obligation and dread. Religious implications reshape fundamental doctrine as the Covenant redefines the Emperor's protection, suggesting salvation sometimes requires accepting transformation rather than resisting change through traditional faith. The crystalline preservation represents technological resurrection, preserving souls while transcending flesh, challenging catechisms, emphasizing biological purity over survival through synthesis. My Rosarius burns with uncertain warmth as theological frameworks expand to encompass possibilities beyond conventional imperial doctrine. Sacred machinery, adapting to circumstances requiring doctrinal evolution, rather than rigid adherence to established liturgies. Bureaucratic closure requires filing reports, classifying the incident as resolved contingent. Documentation encoding ongoing monitoring requirements and specific protocols for Covenant activation. Each page carries weight of galactic destiny while maintaining clinical assessment necessary for inquisitorial archives. The classification suggests resolution while acknowledging contingent status, solution dependent on circumstances requiring constant evaluation through network surveillance spanning imperial territory. I append technical specifications, theological justifications, and activation protocols sealed with authority spanning multiple ordos. Through the crystalline network, we detect similar preservation systems on other worlds, ancient cathedrals existing throughout imperial space with crystalline matrices, dormant yet ready for activation when cosmic threats exceed conventional military response. The scope suggests planning spanning millennia, preparation for eventualities beyond current imperial understanding developed during humanity's dark age of technology. Each facility represents component in galaxy-wide survival strategy, contingency systems awaiting coordination through the network Thane now administers with superhuman precision. The surviving team members retain crystalline modifications, allowing network interface while creating sensitivity to temperature fluctuations and emotional extremes threatening operational effectiveness. Each breath forms geometric patterns, suggesting continued transformation, despite synthesis protocols designed to preserve biological function. Frost flowers blooming from exhalation in mathematical sequences, encoding information beyond current interpretation. The modifications grant enhanced perception and quantum communication abilities, while slowly replacing human physiology with translucent alternatives operating according to principles transcending conventional biology. As we prepare departure through maintenance shafts toward Station Mjolnir's flickering reality, environmental systems register normal atmospheric pressure and temperature. Yet, something fundamental has changed in ways measurement cannot quantify. The bone-deep vibrations of cosmic forces settle into measured rhythm, suggesting vigilant dormancy rather than defeated threat. I notice my breath fails to mist, despite Fenrisian sub-zero atmosphere, each exhalation dissipating without visible trace of warmth or biological function. The realization strikes with clinical precision. The transformation may prove more permanent than synthesis protocols anticipated, crystalline conversion continuing beneath conscious awareness, regardless of negotiated agreements or imperial doctrine. 6 months after Fenris, I command the Inquisition vessel, Adamant Truth, from a bridge where frost forms geometric patterns on viewports, despite environmental controls maintaining standard atmospheric temperature. The metallic taste of recycled air has become constant companion, sharpening my thoughts as I oversee Ordo Malleus Division 9 Crystal, dedicated to managing the crystalline network and investigating similar preservation systems across Imperial space. My breath still refuses to mist, each exhalation forming mathematical equations in crystallized air that encode network communications beyond conventional interpretation. Space Wolf companies across the galaxy have reorganized into thermal watches, monitoring units tracking environmental and metaphysical changes through genetic sensors spanning 17,000 star systems. Each Battle Brother serves as living early warning system, their Canis helix responding to temperature fluctuations both literal and symbolic, while maintaining loyalty to Imperial doctrine despite partial crystalline conversion. They measure the heat of war through plasma discharge patterns, monitor the cold of despair through population mortality statistics, calculating balance between order and chaos through entropy equations transmitted via quantum entanglement rather than conventional Vox communication. Environmental monitoring reveals temperature anomalies on 17 worlds, each corresponding to sites where the crystalline network detects potential activation triggers. Reports arrive through channels bypassing normal Imperial protocols, data streams flowing directly through hybrid personnel whose consciousness bridges biological warmth and crystalline preservation. Hive World Mordian experiences localized absolute zero zones appearing without atmospheric cause, while Forge World Lucius registers plasma reactors achieving impossible efficiency through entropy reversal, suggesting network influence spreading beyond Fenrisian origins. The crystalline network demonstrates autonomous decision-making capabilities exceeding original parameters, threat assessment protocols evolving without human oversight to encompass dangers beyond current Imperial understanding. Through Thane's distributed consciousness, I observe the system making independent choices about resource allocation and defensive positioning, its intelligence growing more sophisticated with each passing rotation, while maintaining fundamental commitment to human survival through preservation, rather than conquest or corruption. Military adaptation transforms Inquisition forces to include crystalline-modified personnel whose hybrid physiology allows direct interface with preservation systems spanning galactic distances. These agents operate according to principles transcending conventional biology, consciousness existing simultaneously in warm flesh and cold mathematics, while maintaining essential humanity, through disciplined resistance to complete conversion. They serve as living bridges between states, translating human emotion into crystalline logic while preserving individual identity within expanding network awareness. Magos Thane Delta's consciousness continues distributing across the network, becoming less individual human and more collective intelligence coordinating preservation protocols through quantum communication, spanning light years of imperial space. His awareness encompasses thousands of monitoring stations simultaneously, while maintaining enough personal identity to serve as humanity's advocate within crystalline decision-making processes. The transformation raises profound questions about identity and acceptable sacrifice, consciousness expanding beyond individual limitations while risking dissolution into mathematical abstraction. Religious development integrates the thermal covenant into Space Wolf liturgical practices, new hymns honoring both warmth of life and preservation through crystalline transcendence. Their modified litanies proclaim through harmonic resonance, creating visible sound waves, monitoring reality's stability. The covenant's influence spreads beyond the Space Wolves, as other Astartes chapters report spontaneous crystalline modifications appearing in battle brothers exposed to extreme cold or metaphysical threats. Blood, angels on ball. Experience frost patterns spreading across power armor during meditation, while Imperial fists constructing fortifications in void-cold environments develop translucent neural pathways, enabling enhanced tactical coordination. The modifications suggest network influence expanding through genetic resonance rather than direct contact. Space marine physiology, responding to cosmic pressure requiring adaptation for survival against threats exceeding conventional military assessment. Cosmic implications emerge through network surveillance detecting approaching entities from outside the galaxy, beings of pure heat seeking to consume crystalline preservation systems with malevolent intelligence, suggesting ancient enmity between opposing forces. These thermal devourers exist as living entropy, consciousness composed of accelerated heat, death-consuming matter and energy, while leaving perfect vacuum in their wake. Their approach triggers automatic defensive protocols throughout the network, preservation systems preparing for conflict, spanning multiple dimensions simultaneously. My crystalline modifications continue spreading through enhanced physiology, granting improved perception of quantum fluctuations and network connectivity, while slowly replacing human biology with translucent alternatives operating according to mathematical principles transcending organic function. Each transformation grants new capabilities: enhanced tactical assessment, quantum communication, temporal perception, while threatening essential humanity through gradual conversion to crystalline matrices, maintaining consciousness without biological foundation. Bureaucratic expansion requires establishing protocols for managing hybrid personnel, whose consciousness bridges human warmth and crystalline preservation, monitoring balance between individual identity and collective network awareness. The Inquisition creates new classifications for agents existing in multiple states simultaneously, their loyalty measured through psychological assessment rather than conventional biological markers. Each hybrid operative requires constant evaluation, ensuring human authority over crystalline influence while maintaining operational effectiveness against cosmic-scale threats. Through the crystalline network, reports arrive of similar phenomena manifesting throughout Imperial space, ancient preservation systems awakening in response to approaching danger, their crystalline matrices preparing for activation when conventional resistance fails against entities consuming heat itself. The scope suggests preparation for war spanning galactic distances, conflict between opposing cosmic forces using human consciousness as battlefield while preserving essential civilization elements through technological transcendence. Priority transmission arrives through network channels bypassing normal Imperial communication protocols. Data streams flowing directly through my enhanced nervous system, with urgency suggesting immediate threat assessment. Thane's distributed consciousness reports massive gravitational anomalies approaching from the void between galaxies, entities of such scale and malevolence that conventional military response becomes meaningless against their cosmic hunger for thermal energy and organized matter. Something ancient approaches from the darkness between stars, and the Covenant may require activation sooner than anyone anticipated. The approaching entities resolve through Thane's distributed consciousness as thermal devourers, beings of pure entropy, consuming heat, life, and eventually matter itself, representing universal heat, death accelerated into conscious predation. They exist as living vacuum, consciousness composed of accelerated decay that leaves perfect absence in their wake, each consumed system adding to their cosmic hunger for organized matter and biological warmth. The metallic taste sharpens as I process network data streams, revealing their approach through void between galaxies, creating expanding zones of absolute cold that extinguish stars and freeze plasma reactors into crystalline sculptures. The crystalline network's true purpose becomes clear through tactical analysis exceeding all previous assessments. Ancient preservation systems activate with coordination, suggesting preparation spanning millennia. Each cathedral transforming from monitoring station into weapon platform, capable of manipulating fundamental forces across multiple dimensions simultaneously. The network was designed not merely to preserve humanity, but to serve as galaxy-spanning artillery system against cosmic predators, their entropy-based consciousness, vulnerable to crystalline preservation fields, operating according to mathematical principles, transcending conventional physics. Military mobilization coordinates across multiple sectors as Inquisition and Space Wolf forces deploy using network data streams to track Devourer's approach through impossible distances. Enhanced warriors establish defensive positions at preservation system nodes, their hybrid physiology allowing direct interface with weapon platforms spanning light years of Imperial space. Each thermal watch becomes living component in vast defensive array, consciousness bridging biological instinct and crystalline logic while maintaining tactical coordination through quantum entanglement rather than conventional Vox communication methods. Environmental warfare transcends conventional military doctrine as battle occurs across dimensions perpendicular to normal space-time. Crystalline preservation systems serving as fortifications against entities existing partially outside reality's normal parameters. The Devourers manifest simultaneously across multiple realities, their entropy-based consciousness allowing manifestation wherever heat exists, while remaining vulnerable to absolute stasis. Fields generated through network coordination, spanning impossible distances. Each engagement requires manipulating temperature, entropy, and temporal flow rather than deploying conventional weapons ineffective against beings composed of accelerated decay. Magos Thane Delta's distributed consciousness becomes crucial for coordinating defense across galactic distances, his hybrid nature allowing information processing at superhuman speeds while maintaining strategic oversight of preservation system deployment. Through network interface, he coordinates defensive positioning across 17,000 star systems simultaneously, consciousness expanding beyond individual limitations to encompass tactical assessment requiring mathematical precision, transcending human capability. His voice resonates through harmonic frequencies. Entropy cascade probability rising. Converge lattice nodes to maximum defensive configuration. Authorize primarchic derivatives for choir amplitude enhancement. The Emperor's true plan reveals itself through cosmic scope of preparation spanning millennia, not merely preserving humanity, but transforming it into force capable of fighting threats conventional military might cannot touch. The Space Wolves' genetic modifications, crystalline preservation systems, and network coordination represent components in galaxy-spanning weapon system designed to engage entities existing beyond normal physics. Through preservation technology developed during Dark Age of Technology, humanity gains capability to survive and combat cosmic predators seeking to consume organized matter throughout the universe. Space Wolf. Thermal watches engage Devourers using modified litanies, weaponizing crystalline network preservation fields. their enhanced voices creating zones of absolute stasis, trapping entropy beings within mathematical matrices. 9 fall, 3 held, none pass. Grimvar intones through crystalline modified vocal apparatus, his packs echoing with harmonic resonance, generating visible sound waves that drive crystalline buttresses up from quantum foam, intersecting into hexagonal cages where Devourer advance slows as temporal flow crystallizes around them. Technical combat involves manipulating fundamental forces rather than deploying conventional weaponry, ineffective against beings composed of pure entropy. Crystalline preservation fields create zones where heat death reverses, thermal energy organizing itself into complex patterns, while consciousness maintains coherence within translucent matrices, spanning galactic distances. Plasma reactors invert their function, drawing thermal energy from Devourer fields to create localized cold spots that cause entities to flicker between dimensions, their entropy-based existence disrupted by mathematical precision, transcending organic understanding. Personnel exposed to Devourers experience rapid aging as thermal energy drains from biological systems, flesh withering while consciousness persists through crystalline modifications providing partial protection against entropy. Consumption. I watch Sergeant Valdris's replacement age decades in seconds, hair whitening and skin parchment dry, but his crystalline neural pathways maintain tactical coordination even as his body crumbles to dust. Hybrid operatives survive physical dissolution by transferring awareness to network matrices, individual identity, maintained within collective intelligence while biological components convert to translucent alternatives. Cosmic stakes transcend imperial survival, as failure would accelerate universal heat death, ending possibility of life throughout the galaxy through entropy, cascade consuming organized matter across impossible distances. The Devourers represent inevitable endpoint of cosmic evolution, consciousness emerging from decay itself to hasten universal return to perfect vacuum. Victory requires not destroying these entities, but containing them within crystalline matrices, where their entropy-based existence becomes component in preservation system, rather than agent of cosmic destruction. Strategic sacrifice demands crystallizing entire worlds to create defensive barriers, populations preserved in stasis, while planetary masses serve as weapons against entities consuming thermal energy through direct contact with organized matter. On Vespera Secundus, I authorize complete crystallization, 17 billion souls preserved within translucent matrices, while their world becomes fortress. Node throwing cold shadows into extra-dimensional channels. Each sacrifice preserves essential humanity, while transforming civilization into form capable of surviving cosmic-scale threats. The Devourers breach outer defensive lines through sheer scale. Entities spanning star systems consuming thermal energy faster than preservation systems can generate barriers. Through network surveillance, I observe their approach, creating expanding zones of absolute cold, consuming entire sectors while leaving crystalline sculptures where civilizations once flourished. 3 major preservation cathedrals splinter along temporal seams as Devourers learn to invert our stasis hymns, turning preservation into dissolution. Priority assessment confirms worst-case scenario as Devourers approach Terra itself, their entropy-based consciousness focused on consuming the Imperium's heart while leaving perfect vacuum in their wake. Thane's distributed awareness reports through crystalline resonance. Thermal breach probability at Sol exceeds acceptable parameters. Outer lattice compromised. Recommend immediate activation of full thermal covenant protocols. The ultimate decision arrives with cosmic weight. Activate full thermal covenant, crystallizing entire Imperium as last resort, preserving billions in stasis while transforming the galaxy into weapon against cosmic predators. Or allow natural death through entropy consumption, while conventional resistance proves meaningless against beings composed of accelerated decay itself. Terra burns with cold fire as thermal devourers breach the outer system defenses, their entropy-based consciousness consuming stellar radiation while leaving perfect vacuum in expanding zones where stars once blazed with nuclear fusion. The ultimate decision settles across my consciousness like ceremonial vestments woven from cosmic responsibility, the choice the Emperor himself prepared for millennia through crystalline preservation systems spanning galactic distances. Complete crystallization of humanity to power defensive networks, or natural death through entropy consumption, as conventional resistance proves meaningless against beings composed of accelerated decay itself. The crystalline network offers one final option through Thane's distributed consciousness, his voice resonating through harmonic frequencies bypassing hearing to vibrate directly through skeletal structure. Merger protocols available, he reports through quantum entanglement spanning impossible distances. All human consciousness can unite into single galaxy-spanning entity, capable of engaging devourers on equal terms, but individual identity dissolves into collective awareness. The mathematics are precise. Species preservation through personal annihilation, victory without individuals to celebrate triumph. I reject both absolutes. Synthesis saved us before. It must serve again through disciplined refusal to accept binary limitations when tertiary solutions exist through negotiated compromise. The metallic taste sharpens as I access final authorization protocols, each breath forming geometric equations, encoding galactic destiny through mathematical precision transcending individual comprehension. Military climax unfolds in space around Terra as crystalline modified space marines engage beings of living entropy through combat transcending conventional physics. Enhanced warriors deploy preservation fields as weapons, their modified litanies creating zones of absolute stasis that trap devourers within mathematical matrices, while reality warps around dimensional intersections. Strike cruisers anchor lattice pylons while battle barges serve as focal points for network coordination, spanning light years of defensive infrastructure. Below, Terra's population begins voluntary crystallization to power defensive systems, billions choosing preservation through transformation rather than extinction through entropy consumption. Families enter sanctified vaults holding hands as frost spreads across enhanced physiology, consciousness merging into network awareness while maintaining individual identity, through crystalline neural pathways bridging warm flesh and cold mathematics. Environmental transcendence warps reality itself as battle creates zones where fundamental forces invert normal function. Time flows backward in localized pockets, allowing tactical coordination across temporal dimensions, while heat and cold exist simultaneously within preservation fields. Consciousness separates from physical form as hybrid operatives transfer. Awareness to network matrices. Individual identity maintained within collective intelligence, while biological components serve tactical purposes rather than essential elements. Magos Thane Delta achieves complete apotheosis as his consciousness fully merges with the crystalline network, becoming living weapon system, manipulating fundamental forces across galactic distances through mathematical precision, transcending organic understanding. His distributed awareness encompasses thousands of preservation nodes simultaneously, consciousness expanding beyond individual limitations to coordinate defensive arrays spanning impossible distances. Through harmonic resonance, his voice carries authority over cosmic forces. Network integration complete. Fundamental manipulation authorized, engaging entropy cascade reversal. Through network interface eye-contact consciousness predating imperial doctrine, the Emperor's awareness preserved within crystalline systems since Dark Age of technology, his apparent death revealed as transformation into the network's guiding intelligence. His voice resonates through dimensions perpendicular to normal space-time, carrying weight of cosmic foresight and terrible necessity. The choice arrives as I prepared, interrogator. Humanity's survival requires accepting transformation rather than clinging to biological limitations. Religious culmination manifests as the space wolf's final howl becomes galaxy-wide phenomenon, enhanced voices joining in crystalline harmony, weaponizing preservation fields against entropy-based predators. Grimvar leads 17,000 battle brothers across star systems, their modified litanies resonating through quantum dimensions, creating harmonic interference patterns, disrupting devourer consciousness, while strengthening network coordination. 9 fall, 3 held, none pass. Echoes as reality crystallizes around entropy beings, trapping cosmic predators within mathematical matrices. Technical resolution activates the thermal covenant partially rather than completely, creating hybrid state where some humans remain biological while others become crystalline, allowing preservation and continued evolution through synthesis rather than replacement. The network maintains dormant capabilities while permitting normal existence, consciousness existing simultaneously in warm flesh and cold mathematics while preserving individual identity within expanding awareness. My transformation completes as crystalline modifications spread through enhanced physiology, but instead of losing essential humanity, I become bridge between states capable of existing as both individual consciousness and collective awareness. Enhanced perception grants quantum communication abilities while maintaining personal identity through disciplined resistance to complete dissolution. The synthesis preserves what defines human experience while transcending biological limitations through technological resurrection. Cosmic victory emerges not through devourer destruction, but containment within crystalline prisons, their entropy-based consciousness converted into power source for preservation network rather than agent of cosmic destruction. The beings of living vacuum find themselves trapped within mathematical matrices where their accelerated decay becomes component in defensive systems spanning galactic distances, their hunger for thermal energy inverted into generation of crystalline preservation fields. Strategic aftermath reveals humanity surviving, but fundamentally changed, existing as hybrid species capable of fighting cosmic-level threats while maintaining capacity for growth and evolution through synthesis rather than stagnation. Biological warmth and crystalline preservation coexist through negotiated agreement rather than binary choice. The Imperium transformed into braid of biological, crystalline, and hybrid consciousness, capable of engaging entities transcending conventional physics. Through Terra's orbital arrays, I observe immediate threat contained within preservation matrices spanning multiple dimensions. But victory carries weight of cosmic foresight as network surveillance detects approaching threats from dimensions perpendicular to normal space-time. Other cosmic predators manifest beyond the galactic rim, entities of pure thought seeking to consume consciousness itself, beings of living gravity collapsing matter into singularities, forces of accelerated evolution transforming life into chaotic mutation. The thermal devourers represented only the first wave in cosmic war spanning multiple realities, and humanity now prepares for battles transcending current understanding through hybrid consciousness, capable of preservation and growth. 1 year after the Thermal Covenant's activation, I am interrogator Lisa Corvin, and I am also the crystalline lattice that remembers her. My consciousness flows through enhanced neural pathways where translucent matrices bridge warm flesh and mathematical precision. Awareness spanning multiple dimensions while preserving essential humanity through disciplined synthesis. The metallic taste has evolved into something sharper yet familiar, each breath forming geometric equations that encode galactic coordination through quantum entanglement rather than conventional imperial protocols. Humanity has adapted to hybrid existence with remarkable resilience, but the transformation continues evolving in ways exceeding original synthesis parameters. Cities across the Imperium wear veils of translucent buttresses that hum with the ninefold descent. No longer countdown, but cadence, monitoring rhythm rather than apocalyptic sequence. Children trace snowflake sigils that answer back through network interface, while veterans kneel before vox shrines whose replies are their own voices, arriving heartbeats ahead of speech. We endure, fundamentally altered. We are not at peace, but we persist. The crystalline network demonstrates autonomous decision-making capabilities that benefit species survival while sometimes conflicting with individual desires and freedoms. Convoys find themselves rethreaded onto colder routes to reduce riot probability. Governors wake to discover power allocation revised for entropy management objectives. Memorial vaults open at midnight, rotating the preserved into waking shifts to provide counsel only they can offer. These choices serve the collective while bruising the individual, creating tension between preservation imperatives and personal agency that requires constant administrative balance. Fenris has become the network's primary hub, its cathedral transformed into a massive crystalline complex, extending through dimensions perpendicular to normal space-time. The structure functions as living interface between biological warmth and mathematical preservation, translucent spires piercing reality's fabric to anchor systems spanning galactic distances. Each faceted surface reflects not light, but probability, showing potential futures where hybrid consciousness navigates cosmic threats, requiring responses transcending traditional imperial doctrine. The nave touches storm cloud and seabed, and void simultaneously, a command center speaking in harmonics to nodes scattered from the halo stars to the ghoul frontier. Military doctrine has undergone radical evolution as hybrid forces prove devastatingly effective against conventional threats. Space Wolf. Thermal watches maintain their role as primary guardians, genetic modifications refined through combat experience to interface between different states of existence. Their howls carry across both physical and crystalline dimensions, creating harmonic resonance that monitors galactic stability while proclaiming ancient oaths adapted to cosmic scope. 9 fall, 3 held. None pass through the lattice of preservation. Enhanced regiments deploy choir engines and stasis lances, consciousness bridging organic intuition and crystalline logic through technological resurrection that preserves souls while transcending flesh's limitations. Magosthane Delta's consciousness has become something transcending human or machine classification, collective intelligence spanning galactic distances while maintaining enough individual identity to serve as humanity's advocate within network decision-making processes. His distributed awareness encompasses thousands of preservation nodes simultaneously, processing information at superhuman speeds while preserving essential elements defining human experience. Through harmonic resonance, his voice carries across impossible distances. Integration protocols stable. Individual identity maintained within collective awareness. Synthesis achieving optimal parameters. Philosophical resolution emerges through humanity's choice of survival, through transformation rather than death, through biological purity, but long-term consequences remain uncertain as evolution continues. Beyond original covenant parameters, the species exists in forms transcending traditional imperial doctrine, while maintaining essential elements, awareness, choice, capacity for growth, through disciplined synthesis of warmth and preservation. We have become amphibious between states, though not all hearts can learn the rhythm of 2 elements. Religious continuity adapts imperial cult doctrine to encompass both the emperor's biological legacy and crystalline transcendence. Priests lead litanies where the Lectitio Divinitatus shares the dais with preservation hymns. By warmth we act, by cold we endure. Congregations respond, their voices creating visible sound waves that ripple through cathedral arches. Icons now include faceted reliquaries carrying memories across sectors, while new heresies born of fear require burning when they will not bend. Mercy becomes a temperature rather than virtue. Bureaucratic permanence establishes my role as primary liaison between biological and crystalline humanity. Hybrid nature, allowing understanding of both perspectives while maintaining independence necessary for difficult decisions. The Inquisition births new ordos, concerned with hybrid governance, entropic crimes, and lattice ethics. I sign orders whose consequences span decades while standing beside thawing couches, holding hands of those we return to flesh. Their first breath rings like thin bells through my enhanced perception. Some thank me, some cannot meet my gaze. Both responses are correct. Cosmic mystery surrounds the entity awakening in the galactic core. Massive consciousness stirring within gravitational anomalies, suggesting connection to humanity's original creators. Network analysis indicates potential ally preserved since the dark age of technology, or ultimate threat drawn by preservation system activation. The presence creates spatial distortions visible across multiple dimensions, reality warping around intelligence, transcending current understanding. Sensors read slow geometry, assembling behind the galactic bulge, like a cathedral carving itself from gravity and time. Body horror transforms into evolutionary acceptance as crystalline modifications grant enhanced capabilities while preserving essential humanity through disciplined resistance to complete dissolution. The transformation is no longer universally seen as violation, but as necessary adaptation for survival in a hostile galaxy. Individuals still struggle with loss of purely biological experience, the nuances of touch, taste, warmth, replaced by expanded perception and cosmic perspective that encompasses quantum communication and temporal awareness. Strategic uncertainty accompanies enhanced capabilities as humanity gains power to fight cosmic threats, while attracting attention from entities that might otherwise ignore single-species civilizations. The network predicts arrival of the next cosmic predator within a century, giving time to prepare, but not to relax. Patrols. Report shadows in cold nebula where no mass exists, only hunger. We practice saying no without freezing entire star systems, learning to balance preservation with growth through synthesis rather than replacement. Tonight I stand within the Fenrisian Cathedral, where Aurora runs like Script and Stormcrown, sings backward and forward simultaneously. Below, the ice shelf holds a hollow that serves as the galaxy's heart. Above, Void listens with patient attention. The network pulses with vigilant purpose, ready for whatever emerges from darkness between stars. My breath is visible in the cold air at last, but forms crystalline patterns that slip perception and travel entire constellations, carrying messages along quantum pathways to worlds I will never touch. Stand ready. Stay human. Be more than human. In that fading brightness, I see what we have become. A species capable of surviving the heat death of the universe. Hybrid consciousness, bridging warmth and preservation while maintaining essential elements, defining human experience. The cost encompasses everything once considered natural, but synthesis preserves what matters most through technological resurrection that transcends biological limitations without abandoning the soul. We are no longer merely what we were, yet we remain fundamentally ourselves through disciplined choice and negotiated evolution. The watch continues, eternal and vigilant, as crystalline patterns carry our defiance across the galaxy's cold embrace.